You know, when we all play RPGs solo, it's really just us. We are the game master, we are the player characters, and the audience. The producer, writer, director, everyone, the entire staff, cast, crew, in front of and behind the camera. And that's why it's so fun, and that's why I enjoy it almost on a daily basis. But much like an author writing their own book, novel, next big hit, you will run into issues where you draw blank. This is essentially writer's block. It can be very discouraging, and I've had plenty of moments of this, even on camera. But luckily, you're not alone. We all experience this. Now, I'm not an expert on solo play, I'm not a writer, but I believe I can provide you with some guidance and tips to help overcome these moments of burden, encumbrance. So, here are a few things that can help you essentially roll past these bumps. First and foremost, oracles. Tables. Now, this specific one here is by far my favorite out there. This is from the One Page Mythic. It is cut out, and it is essentially a D100 list of actions and descriptions. When you roll a D100 on the action and then descriptor, it will provide you context. These are vague enough to work with practically any setting. So when you reach a moment you cannot really figure out what to do, like what's behind that door in the dungeon, what does this character say, roll some dice. Just roll 2D100s, and you get some results. I recommend, again, checking out the One Page Mythic. Not a sponsor, not affiliated in any way, just by far my favorite Oracle. And I've talked about this thing and used it many times on my channel, and I highly recommend it. Pretty simple. That's really it. For example, now we're going to roll any dice here, but essentially, number 910, you basically roll two numbers throughout the list. 910 is burden. That's the action. Let's develop some context. Our character, typical fighter, going through the dungeon with his team, they reach a door that appears to be locked. They're not sure what's behind the door. This dungeon has never been explored before. So, you roll a d100, you land on burden. Well, essentially it is a burden. This door is locked. We're not really too sure. We dealt with some creeps back there, some zombies, and we're already halfway through our rations. You roll descriptor to figure out what's behind the door. If you ask the oracle, like, what's behind the door? Well, burden, it's going to be an issue, so it could be an enemy. And you roll descriptor, you roll maybe 55, 56. It is mechanical. What is a burden that's mechanical? A trap. Classic. That one might be vague enough. That one probably is straightforward. But for example, here's another one. You roll a 56. That's going to be good. And then for descriptor, you roll 92. Small. Okay, well, the door is open. Good. That you open the door, and something small is back there. You can relate the good to the small. Maybe it's a small little pile of treasure, but that can also turn into some conflict. So you can roll again or just go from there. Again, use these to just get past moments of burden. Next are classic oracle cards, tarot cards, for example. This is one baked for sci-fi tarot. I don't use tarot cards as often anymore, but definitely I have a plethora of videos where I've talked about it, and I've used tarot cards from time to time. Now, tarot cards, they are vague enough, but especially if you find ones similar to the setting you're playing the game in. For example, I also own Fallout-based tarot cards. That gives you more context, so you don't have to do all the heavy lifting. But for example, since it's a sci-fi, let's say we have a lonely character in a ship, abandoned after waking up, not sure what the hell is going on, what happened. You don't know what to do. Your character's walking around, and he wants something to happen. You're not sure if you can spawn an enemy, an alien pops out of the wall, there are flashing warning lights, you're about to crash into a planet or the sun, but you want to know something that's going to happen. You draw a card. Well, let's see. This is a card right here. These are classic sci-fi style posters, or classic style sci-fi posters. The Knight of Swords. Pretty common for oracle cards to have knight and swords in the name, but we see a guy here holding a laser. Maybe you do run into another explorer that has a weapon drawn on you. You can use the card literally as you see it. There is someone there with a gun around the corner that just happens to be on the same ship as you, or this is a leftover character from a prior session, or this is just another enemy that the game master yourself wants to spawn. This could be an enemy, an alien, an ally, or someone, an enemy, an ally that is currently possessed by some Cthulhu type of mythos, or they are scared and want to get off the ship, and they think you have a key to the ship, etc. So just use the card as you see it. There's also an explosion back there, so maybe while you're talking to this character, something explodes in the background. And those, again, that is a sci-fi tarot cards. Tarot cards can work pretty well. Not everybody is a fan of them. They are obviously used outside of solo RPG play, something I don't really bother with. But again, solo cards can be very helpful in solo RPG play. Now, the third thing on my very small, quick list here are similar to tarot cards, and I've been using these in my recent Lone Rousdower campaign, or one shot, I should say. Magic the Gathering cards. I'm not the only one. I actually got this idea inspired by another YouTuber. And essentially, because Magic cards are throughout different settings, there are different decks out there. I'm not super familiar with Magic in general and how to play, but obviously there are different branded out there. I have this big pile here that are Lord of the Rings based. So there's a bunch here from Lord of the Rings or Middle Earth. There's also vampire themed ones. There's obviously Magic cards can span across different franchises. For example, this one. You have a picture. There's your tarot card right there. You have a name on top of the picture. You have a description and a quote. You also got numbers. This can be a very versatile Swiss Army knife for solo RPG play. You can look at the picture. You can take contents from the picture, whether metaphorically or literally as you see it. For example, let's say we're playing an explorer. This guy is going through the forest. He's on a horseback, and let's say he's looking for his son. His son was kidnapped by bandits several days ago. You guys explored together. You abandoned your maybe your refugees, and you're exploring the Great West. And he's been kidnapped. So you're going through, you come across this lush forest, you're not sure what's going to happen. You can think, well, what if he goes through some quicksand? Very classic Indiana Jones style scenario. But you want to try something different, or you cannot think of anything to happen. Conflict for your characters, because conflict drives the solo RPG experience. This card, you get attacked by some creature. That creature attacks you from below. Again, use the card as you see it. This creature pops out of the ground and attacks you. You are on your horse. Obviously, my idea is coming from the guy on the horse. And he or she has a spear. And you perhaps are ready for it, or you have to roll a skill check, whatever system you're using, to avoid being attacked or surprised by this creature. The creature can be anything. A giant ground worm, etc. with feet. So again, just go with what you see, and then you can read the card as it says there. So not only is there a creature coming at you from below, but it says here in the quote, or in italic, the hunt ends, lunch begins. Your character needs rations, or you're low on rations. Maybe, just maybe, this creature, once you defeat it, you can cook it, spin it in a fire, and it is edible. Maybe. That's up to you as the game master. So the hunt ends, lunch begins. This is something your character needs, or maybe something is on the creature that you need to get through a certain plot point later in the adventure. But again, also the sunlight. Look at the sunlight. Maybe there is something bright in the distance after you defeat this monster. Maybe because you're deep in the forest, this creature is the last boss fight you gotta get through, and that sun represents you finally reached the golden moment of the story. You reached a moment, a pillar in your adventure, and you finally reached a point that your character can take a break, or you find your son, or etc. So use the card as you see. I love the Magic cards. I don't play the game. I use them for strictly just for story hooks. Doesn't just have to be writer's block moments. This can just, I often draw these pretty quick, or maybe every 5-10 minutes, just to keep pushing the story along. And it creates randomness. Randomness can really be a positive too, especially if your game is your game rules is more focused on is rules light and more on narrative. Tarot cards provide you, or tarot cards and Magic cards provide you a lot of creativity on top of that. So there are other ways out there you can use. If you, not here to say love or hate relationship with AI, but if you don't mind using AI can provide you with similar ideas out there, depending on how you instruct it. If you're not a fan of AI, you can totally avoid that. I understand. That's a different story. I've talked about that before. I recommend searching that on my YouTube channel. But you can also go to online forums and see what other people experience and how they deal with their problems or these writer block moments. Take a break. That also helps. If you are in the middle of a very long running campaign and writer block moments aren't too common for you, but you just happen to have one because of whatever reason, stress in your life, etc., take a break. Take a couple days off, maybe take a week at best. But just in the background, just consider, well, what can I do next? My character is about to climb this huge mountain, but I just don't know what can happen or what is at the top of that mountain, especially if you're in a sandbox world setting. And a lot of things aren't pre-written for you. You're not doing it like an existing adventure. I probably would say that writer block moments and solo play is more often, at least in my perspective, more often in sandbox style play. Obviously, pre-written adventure modules, whether it's like old D&D or current existing modules from modern, they have pre-scripted moments, characters, what's on them, treasure, finds, etc. You probably have better luck with that. But for me, I always typically play sandbox or just on the spot. And writer block moments can happen from time to time, whether there's small little moments where I take a pause, or just for minutes, it's like, I got pause recording, like, what do I do next? So again, this issue can happen a lot. And in this video, I pretty much provided you with essentially 2 fixes, but span that to 3, because I think tarot cards, which again is a totally different topic and a huge hobby for many people out there, and then Magic the Gathering cards, which is also another game type to play, but again, using them kind of as tarot cards, combining that concept together, I think is very enriching. So, and we cannot ignore the tables out there. Using tables can help you with randomness, especially tables that are oriented for the setting. So again, one-page Mythic is general enough to apply for anything, cyberpunk to dark fantasy. But then there are obviously on itch.io or DriveThruRPG, there are Oracle tables out there, or tables in general, that can help you with locations, flavor, action descriptors, items, monster generators, anything. This has been said by many other YouTubers out there, especially me, myself, and Trevor Duvall. As he says, do not use too many at the same time. Just use 1 or 2. Method-wise, use 1. If you're using tables, that essentially is 1 method at the time. Then you can switch over to a dice mechanic like one-page Mythic. Then you can use tarot cards next session. Shake it up. Try different methods in different sessions and see what results come after you use them. Take a little survey of yourself, like how did it go? Would you prefer using magic cards compared to just using tables? And again, just don't use too many. Don't pile too many different books, random tables out there that it will become a burden for you compared to actually experiencing the game itself. So I hope this helped. It's pretty quick. Again, a lot of this is fairly simple, but it can, easier said than done. I understand that's obviously a critique of this issue at heart, but just give it a try. And if you already have your own methods out there that you try on a daily basis when you play solo RPG, please list below and feel free to help others out there. So again, I'm not the end all be all here, but I hope these ideas, these 2 or 3 or so, can help you surpass those moments of burden. So thank you for watching. As always, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.